What's up, guys? Welcome into episode 99 of the Missed Call Podcast. This is Cubwood here with Sauce Sartori and Game 2 winner of the Big Bets on Campus Championship Series, the Woj. Congrats, Woj.
We should do a little bit of explaining about exactly what is happening. So our buddy Woj, the what do we say you are? The degenerate in chief. The degenerate in chief, Woj, and our good buddy DJ Gino G are facing off in a 7-game crosstown classic series on MLB The Show, and they're doing basically a game a day. And tonight was game 2, and this is essentially the post-game press conference with the game 2 winner, the degenerate in chief, Woj. What a game! What a third inning!
Yeah, that was a hell of a third inning. I don't even know. Last night I only hit one hit and it pissed me off. I was so frustrated. So it felt good to put a 5 spot up on the board. He just kept throwing high fastballs with Lester. I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna keep sitting on him.
Right.
That's what happened.
Well, yeah, and you said yesterday in that game 1, you had a hell of a time trying to get a hit off of Yu Darvish. You lost that game 3-1. Gino takes game 1. You come into tonight. Was that something that you were looking for, that fastball? Was that something that you were sitting on knowing, all right, when I get my opportunity, that's what I'm going to do?
No, not really. For me, it was more of just don't swing at anything out of the zone. And so the first part of that game, I was a lot more disciplined than I was yesterday, if anyone was watching. And so, I don't know. I knew Lester's fastball only gets up to 93 in that game, and I know I can hit those high fastballs. So I'm like, all right, Gino's every now and then is going to throw that high fastball. I just need to be ready for it. And so that third inning, I think he threw 3 in a row.
You were a little silent beast today, Woj. Yesterday you were chirping a little. You didn't say much. Is that your new strategy going in? Just going to be a silent beast from now on?
Yeah, dude. I was a little too amped up going into the last game, and then I only come out with 1 hit, 1 run. So that was a little embarrassing. So I'm like, all right, we need to, shut up a little bit. We're going to focus. We're going to take some pitches and got to come up with a win. I couldn't go down 0-2. I wasn't going to allow myself going down 0-2 into these next 2 games.
You wouldn't come back. I know you would. You wouldn't have come back.
Well, you bring it up, and we're tied 1-1 in the series now, and now the series will shift to the south side, where we're going to play at Guaranteed Rate Field. You've burned through Giolito. You've now burned through Dallas Keuchel. Have you decided who the Game 3 starter will be tomorrow night?
Tomorrow night, I'm probably going to go with Rodon. That's my first gut. I don't think I'll probably save Gio for game 4, Gio Gonzalez. And then we'll kind of start. We'll go with the 4-man rotation. We'll just kind of see what's going on. But right now I'm going to go with Rodon. Coming off the win, I want to try and, take the first game at home in this part of the series. So that's what we're going to go with.
Now, looking ahead to that game 3, obviously the DH is going to be a major factor. And Kyle Schwarber is most definitely going to be the designated hitter for DJ Gino G and the Chicago Cubs. How do you plan to game plan for a guy like Kyle Schwarber, who in this game has somewhat of a glitchy swing that can result in some big power?
Yes, he definitely does. His one at bat, he did rip a double off me into the gap there. So definitely got to just pitch smarter, just pitch around him. There's just when you're playing somebody online that glitch, you don't have that smooth pitching motion. So you got to kind of play with it. So just being a little extra cautious with him when he's up, making sure I don't leave anything over the plate. I do tend to do that every now and then.
Yeah.
One pitch just gets away and you're like, oh shit, please just don't take this yard. So we're going to just kind of pitch around him and hope that doesn't happen.
Are we going to see that laser focus tomorrow while Gino runs his mouth the whole game?
Probably. I need to refocus. We're going to celebrate tonight. We're going to enjoy this one. And then tomorrow's a new day.
Last question here, Woj, from me anyway. Yasmani Grandal had a big game, 4 for 4, drove in a lot of runs, was huge for the team tonight. Talk about, that was the big free agent acquisition for the Sox this offseason. Talk about what he means to you in this ball club.
Oh, he's unbelievable. I have my franchise right now. Been playing with him. I think he already has 11 home runs through April. He's just absolutely tearing the cover off the ball for me in that franchise, and it's just transitioning over into the series. So it's a lot of fun with him because I think he's also 94 overall in this game. So it's actually fun to have a good baseball player for once.
So do you have anything positive to say about Gino? Anything encouraging for a man who's soaking in a loss right now?
No, I mean, I'm not going to give him anything encouraging. I had to suck it up last night. He has to suck it up tonight, and then, it's a new series starting tomorrow.
Mad respect, Woj. Mad respect.
Wonderful.
Hey,
well, we will have Yeah, good luck to both players, and we'll have highlights of Game 2 up on the Instagram page later on tonight, I would assume. Highlights from Game 1 are already up, so if you want to catch up on the series, you can do that on the Missed Call Podcast page. I think it's Call Podcast. You can look at the highlights there. And tomorrow, 6:05 is first pitch for Game 3. Tune into Woj, you can plug your Twitch handle.
Yeah, my Twitch is Wojcik33. I believe that's what it is. Yes, it's Wojcik33. Yeah, I know. Because dude, all my Twitter handles, my PS4 name, my Twitch stream, it's all different. I gotta make sure, it's all right. But yes, it's Wojcik33. Tune in. I'll tweet it out, put it up on Snapchat, wherever you can find it.
Wonderful. All right. Woj, thank you so much for coming on. Good luck. Congrats on the win, and good luck in the rest of this 7-game series.
Thanks, guys.
See you, Woj. Oop.
Took me off. All right, we're back.
I don't know how I did that, but
it's all good.
Woj.
So let's break it down into regular podcast now. And obviously, we're having a little bit of fun with I guess our gaming department, if you want to call them that. But the guys approached us literally Sunday night if we wanted to sponsor this event that they were holding, and they asked us Sunday night, and Monday night they were having a game. So here we are. Or is today Monday? I don't know. I'm losing. They asked us Saturday night. They asked us Saturday night. Sunday night they had a game. So yeah, exciting stuff there. But we're gonna break it down into a couple of different topics today. We definitely have to talk about The Last Dance that came to a completion last night. We're gonna talk about baseball and some of the oddities that are going on with trying to get the game back today. And we'll see where else we go, I guess. Cub, let's start with the Last Dance. It was everything it's everything that everybody wanted and then some.
Dude, I think I didn't expect the memes. That was the one thing that I love the most about it. I'm like, oh, what's this week's meme gonna be?
Yeah.
And then obviously the best one was the security guard shrug. That was my favorite one. He's my header on Twitter right now.
Yeah, I mean, there were a bunch of viral moments that happened throughout it, and I think this is probably one of the best decisions ESPN has made in a while, right? Like moving it up from June until now, and letting us have it 2 episodes a night for 5 weeks was, I think, exactly what they needed to do, and it worked really well, and they hit it out of the park. This documentary in and of itself was phenomenal. There were so many storylines that they talked about. There were so many side stories that were brought in to kind of give you the bigger picture. So I'm curious. I'll say mine, but I want to hear yours first. What was your favorite story throughout this whole thing?
I have 2. Off the dome, the flu game. Off the dome, the flu game. I didn't know it was food poisoning.
I don't think anybody knew it was food poisoning, which makes it so crazy.
Like iconic, I think, but he's like still dealing with it. But like,
well, you know what I mean? I think the only reason I say that is because you had so many news outlets last night posting like the flu game picture with Rodman holding it, or with Pippen holding him up, and you had that moment, and people were posting that picture, and then on top of that, they were saying like flu game. They were crossing out flu and putting food poisoning game. Right. So I think everybody figured that out last night. That was like the first time that story's been told to the masses. Now, I know a lot of people thought Jordan was hungover. Jordan was exhausted from being out gambling or whatever it was. Right. Like they were trying to put it against his character. And then there were some who just thought it was the common cold. But no, someone literally tried to poison. Let me say that one more time. Someone tried to poison Michael Jordan.
It didn't work. It still didn't work.
They succeeded in poisoning him.
But it didn't work.
They failed in trying to stop him because he went out and put up 43 points in 38 minutes and won the game.
But the minutes thing, I think we should like take a step back with that, because if when you're out there, when you're sick, when anyone's sick, if you just start doing something, as soon as you stop, you feel worse. So if you keep doing it, you're gonna be fine until you stop.
Yeah, I know, but like getting getting going is still hard. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and still playing 38 minutes on what was described as violent food poisoning, I think is phenomenal. And Cub, I think that is a story too. That's a story that I was going to bring up. And I think that's the biggest one that we should have taken away, at least from last night. But you said you had two, so what was the other one?
Dude, anytime they brought up Dennis Rodman. Anytime they brought up Dennis Rodman.
Every time.
But prior to this, I knew all about Dennis Rodman. Like, I'm reading his book because I'm obsessed with him. Like, I just think he's the most interesting athlete of all time. I don't think he's like an overall great person for some of the things he's done and as a parent, etc. But he is so damn interesting.
Yeah.
Fun fact that I read in his book. You remember he was shy in college.
Yeah.
And then he like broke out. So in college, while he was shy, he'd put quarters in his ears so people would think he's crazy. Quarters in his ears. And not as gauges. I think they were just like in the hole.
Yeah, they're just in the hole.
Yeah.
I mean, here's the thing with Dennis Rodman is like, if you haven't read his book, if you haven't watched the Bad Boys documentary, the 30 for 30 on the Bad Boys Pistons, if you haven't watched his documentary, if you haven't watched this documentary, then like, so if you just have only heard of Dennis Rodman and you've only seen the pictures of him wearing dresses and you've only seen the hair and the stuff like that, it's fair to think that, hey, this dude's weird. Right? It's really easy to just label him as weird, but like when you watch all these things and you hear him speak and you hear him like tell you his truth, it's just a dude whose brain works different. And they showed that, like when they were talking about the way that Dennis Rodman rebounds and like the way his brain works when he rebounds, he's like, I know if the ball's here, then it's gonna bounce off that way. If Michael's shooting the ball, then the ball's gonna hit the backboard, then I'm gonna be here, then I gotta go over there. You know what I mean? And he's talking about all the different ways the rebounds come off the backboard. Like that's a sign of a dude whose brain works just differently. It just works differently. And you're right. He is so interesting.
Like he should be the Dos Equis guy.
Yeah, right. That would have been perfect. Actually, the one thing I wish they did with Dennis Rodman a little bit more is they talked about all the crazy side stories, right, that he's had. And I know nothing from the 2000s was really discussed, but I wish that they would have kind of poked at the Kim Jong-un thing a little bit more. Like, what's your relationship with Kim Jong-un? You know what I mean?
He brushes that off in like interviews. He just said he's cool. Like he's just a typical dude.
Yeah, no. And I've heard him talk about it a little bit here and there, about, you know, Kim Jong grew up loving basketball or something like that. But no, there were so many stories, dude. And there was a lot of cool quotes too, like just cool moments where people said things and you were like, huh. You know, it made you sit and ponder about like the greatness of Jordan or the greatness of the dynasty or like how other players felt during that era. But the thing that I've been coming back to every time I talk about this documentary with anybody is at the end of episode 7 or episode 8, one of the two, they're talking to Jordan about his character and how others perceived him.
When he got emotional?
Yeah. And he said, people are going to call me a tyrant. People are going to say I'm an asshole. But that's because they've never won anything. Loosely, right? That's not the exact quote, but loosely he said, they're going to call me these things, but it's because they've never won anything. And then he has to cut because he's getting emotional, dude. Like that's a crazy thing to say. I guess not crazy. It's an amazing thing to say, but also when you compare it to the whole episode when they're talking about the enormity of Michael Jordan and who he was and what he had to deal with, and then he says those things, it's like, man, this guy was like the greatest athlete ever, but he was trapped in a way. All we got is missed calls, bro.
I've been worrying about this for the longest time. Somebody calling me during the podcast. It's my dad. All right, let's get him on the pod. Hey, I'm in the middle of a podcast.
Hi, really?
Yeah, look.
Hey, Phil.
Hi, how you doing?
Hey, flip the phone around. Let the people say hi.
You'll get your chance to get on an interview soon, okay? You'll be on Father's Day.
Okay.
All right, I'll see you.
Clean that place.
So going back to what we were talking about, I'm glad you brought up him getting emotional because I think hot take they should have ended the documentary on that.
Yeah, because it's weird to end the documentary, right? Like it's weird to say like this is
my dad's face right now. Answer. He goes, "Oh."
It's weird to think about how to end that documentary, right? Because obviously they did the second three-peat, and then everything ended so abruptly.
Yeah,
and it's almost like the way that they ended it was exactly how the dynasty ended, right?
like
It's
that.
like abrupt, exactly. It just happened.
It made no sense.
The ending or the ending of the dynasty?
Ending of the dynasty.
Well, it was the ego of one man that destroyed it.
A little man.
Be careful, he's not here to defend himself.
I now know.
We learned a couple weeks ago, right? But I think you're right. That would have been a cool way to edit it and figure out a way to say like, this is how it was. But I mean, I guess it's all speculation. I loved the fact that the 98 season was played out through 10 episodes. And that there was that jumping back and forth, even though sometimes it got a little confusing. The 10 episodes and stretching an entire season over 10 episodes while also having all of these side stories. It was phenomenal. It was a great, great, great documentary. One that years from now, you'll be able to show your kids and be like, this is what Michael Jordan was, right? Now, going off of this topic just a little bit is immediately after this ended, everybody was like, what's the next 10-part documentary that we're going to get? First and foremost, hey, let it breathe. Just let it be a thing. You know what I mean?
It's the binge generation thing.
And it kind of shows you the constant crave that this generation or it shows you the crave that this generation has for new content all the time. It's like I don't know how else to describe it, but it's like just a constant crave.
I mean, hey, we have content every week, twice a week, so I don't know where these we can fulfill this void in your life. The Missed Call Podcast has your back. Also, before I forget, I have to mention because I know you weren't going to bring this up. How could you forget to not bring yourself up? You were in the documentary numerous of times.
Yeah, no. Last night
You're like, look, I'm on TV.
I'm on TV. No, last night, if you're unfamiliar, Cub will call me Sauce. What is it, John Sauce Stockton or Sauce John Stockton?
John Stockton Sartori.
Yeah, and this is a nickname that is derived from my ability to be a phenomenal wingman and hand out assists left and right at the bar. You know, if Cub and I were to go out together, it's very feasible that my efforts as an individual are the reason that he goes home with anybody. So that is why the John Stockton nickname and the John Stockton alias exists.
Can we? I need a video of you when we're done, so we can put this in the archives. The Magic Johnson clip where he's like, "Hee hee." I need one of those of you.
I don't know what you're talking about, but we'll discuss it after the pod. We'll discuss it after the pod. So last night, right after, everybody's like, "Well, what's the next 10-part documentary series going to be?" Again, I'll say first of all, let it breathe. Just let it breathe. Just let this one breathe. We don't need a 10-part documentary series right now anyway. But this is an old segment that I'm going to bring back up called Bleacher Report is Dumb. And they put out a graphic last night that says pick the next 10-part documentary series. And it's the 96 to 04 Kobe Shaq Lakers, the Duncan Popovich Spurs, the Heatles, which I guess is the nickname for LeBron, Dwayne, and Chris Bosh. And then the last one is the present day Golden State Warriors. Like first of all, I get somebody had to make like the 4, right? Like you had to have 4, so somebody had to be in there. But at the same time,
one right off the dome, a Phil Jackson documentary.
Just a Phil Jackson documentary. Could you make that 10 parts though?
He played on the Knicks teams that won the NBA Finals. That's one of that's the Knicks team. That's the best Knicks team of all time, and people still talk about them today. You got the '90s Bulls. You got the early 2000s and late 2000s Lakers. That's three. That's 3 decades.
The biggest thing that I'm gonna say about that graphic that I just brought up is the book isn't written yet about the Warriors. And to be fair, there's not enough personalities there. Obviously, you have Steve Kerr, you have Steph Curry, who's arguably, a top 3 player in the NBA right now, or best shooter of all time, right? You know what I mean? But outside of that, Klay Thompson seems fairly vanilla, right? Like, no knock against his character, but like, you don't have the characters there that you had for this series. So why is that?
Draymond would be the only one to give you content.
Or Kevin Durant is fairly open about things, but it's like you're gonna make 10 episodes about what? Steph Curry and Davidson? Okay.
LeBron courtside?
Right. So I think overall, like honest to God, like grade for this documentary, it has to be a 10 out of 10. The music was great. The stories were great. The interviews were in depth and everybody was open about it all. And the fact that you got so much like face to face with Michael Jordan and he was so open about things, phenomenal.
Best thing they did in that documentary was hand Michael the iPads.
Mm-hmm. Every time he got handed an iPad, he goes, okay.
The glove? I didn't have a problem with the glove.
Right. So I guess I'll ask you anything that we forgot to talk about when it comes to The Last Dance.
You're going to hate me. You're going to hate me, Sauce. You're going to hate me.
Go ahead.
What's next?
What do you mean? Oh, you're talking about The Long Summer?
No, I'm saying like what's next? Like what would be the next great documentary that they're gonna do? Because that guy's taking a long break. That guy's taking a long. What's his name? What's his name? The director's name? It's like
I don't know off the dome, but yeah, I would take a long break. You know what I mean? Especially all the royalties and stuff that he's gonna get off of that documentary alone. You could take a long break and still be okay. But I don't know what the next great documentary will be because I don't know that there's anything else that warrants that much interest. Like everybody had, and that nostalgia, everybody had interest in the 90s Bulls. You know what I mean? But not everybody has interest in the 2000s Patriots. That's the only other dynasty that I can like think of that would warrant any sort of.
Done. It's not done.
It kind of is done. With Brady being gone
after this season.
Yeah, with Brady being gone, it's kind of done. You know what I mean? But I would allow Brady to retire and Belichick to retire and then go from there. I guess that would be the only other one that would make sense, but I don't think that they have enough there. I don't think they have enough interest there, I guess is what I'm saying.
This just hit me. They should have a 30 for 30, well, just a one episode because it's a 30 for 30. Even though they do have ones with 2 parts. They should have one with, the 72 Dolphins, 73 Dolphins, whatever one they went undefeated. They would have been
so good to do that before Shula died.
I know. I thought of that because he died. I'm like, that would have been a good one.
It would have been great. That would have been great. Anyway, on the topic of documentaries in the next documentary, one that I'm looking forward to is The Long Summer. I think it's going to be awesome. I don't want to get super in depth on it. I just wanted to bring it up and make sure that everybody tunes into it when it comes out. I think it's in June or whatever, but like make that on your radar. Put that on your radar because that documentary, I'm praying to God slaps. I hope it slaps, but I hope it also starts to open the eyes of the hardos that are like, oh, they took steroids. They shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame. They should be banned from baseball, right? I hope it opens the eyes to those people so everybody can kind of understand where baseball was and what those players did for baseball. But that's a conversation I think for another time. I wanted to kind of talk about where baseball is right now, Cub.
Yeah, we share similar takes on the stance of where baseball is heading. I feel like they need help, like somebody help.
Right. Well, so I'll explain a little bit. I mean, everything that I know off the dome is that in the agreement between the Players Association and the Major League Baseball, so they had decided that players would take 50% of what they were going to make. Everybody was like, all right, sure, we're going to do that. They were going to work out revenue shares or something like that. So all the players got revenue shares or something like that. And it was agreed upon and it was signed and everything was good. And then a couple weeks later, Major League Baseball comes back and says, hey, would you guys be willing to make 33% of the 50% that you're going to make if we move forward? And of course, all the baseball players are like, no. Like we already agreed. We already agreed that 50% is what, and that's half. So you want me to make a third of half? Is basically where we're at. That's like the player's mindset. So obviously Trevor Bauer has spoken out about this. There's been a bunch of players that have spoken out about this and just said, hey, we're not going to do this. We would rather not play and risk our lives, our families' lives, our futures, etc. We'd rather not play and not get money than play and make 33% of half of the money that we were supposed to make this year if the season was played regularly.
Hey, shout out to Mark Teixeira though.
Yeah, and that's what I'm kind of getting, because Teixeira and a lot of fans are pointing fingers at the players saying you're wrong. This isn't how we do it. You should be
playing. Are you at work? Or are you at work?
Right. Well, it's like people are saying you should be playing for the love of the game.
To what? To a certain degree. To a certain degree.
And it's super frustrating because I think
don't talk about other people's jobs.
Right. Well, yeah. But it's an interesting conundrum that you put yourself in, because baseball and all major league sports are in the entertainment sector, right? It's meant to be entertaining, but it's also a career for these guys and something that they've worked on their entire lives. Like from the time you're 4 years old, let's think of a stereotype where you're 4 years old and you started playing t-ball and you worked your way through, and in high school you were like, hey, I think I could go pro, and then you go college. Like you work your whole life to get to the pros, and then you have a billionaire asking you if you're willing to make 33% of half the money that you're going to make because coronavirus. How about we just don't have a season? It would pain me greatly if there were no baseball this year, but I would rather see no baseball and the players get paid exactly what they're worth than any kind of cut like this, Cub, because I think what'll happen is then next year when you say, let's just say there's a season, let's live in a theoretical world where there's the season and they make that percentage of half that is proposed right now, right? Do you think that there could be GMs and owners next year in negotiations with players that say, hey, you were willing to play for this amount last year, so you should be willing to take this amount this year?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Don't you think they're going to try to jip them or undercut them because you played for this last year? It was fine. You know, don't you think that might happen?
Actually, I didn't even think of that. That's a good idea. But dude, I try not to. I'm not worrying about any of this at the moment because one, I can't control it, and two, nothing's set in stone yet. So like, I'm not gonna get all wound up about it unless it really happens. Like, I haven't heard much besides the Teixeira thing with the pay cut and that players should be playing for free, and then the leagues that they're trying to make and mingle together.
So that whole thing just sounds confusing and a mess. Like, I feel like they're going to – a typical MLB move would just be like, okay, let's just do it. Let's just do it. Let's do it right now. And, like, it'll just turn out horribly.
Yeah.
Because they're like, oh, people are going to watch. Let's just do that. Let's just do that. Get our ratings all the way through the roof and higher than they've ever been because we're the only sport out right now, which is A, a good idea, but B, bad. It's a catch-20. Everything sports right now is catch-22. Ratings up, Corona bad.
Yeah. It's an interesting conundrum, and I definitely understand, like, you know, don't get worked up and think about things that you can't control. But at the same time, I think it's our job to kind of speculate and theorize and think deeply about these kinds of things. Because at the end of the day, you have to remember that there's no baseball without baseball players.
Big if true.
Right?
Big.
And there's no baseball without baseball players, but there's also not the popularity of baseball. There's also not the contracts and the money in baseball without the fans. So there needs to be some kind of like almost like an understanding between players and fans where it's like, hey guys, like we're people, we're humans, you know, and without us, you don't have a game, right? Like I don't know. I think what makes me the maddest, Cub, is like I think about these things and like you have the hardos who are like just play for the love of the game and stuff like that, right? And you have these people, and it's just dumb. Like think about other people for just a second. But I feel as though I'm rambling, and I don't want to do that because I do that a lot. But there needs to be better leadership in baseball. There has to be better leadership in baseball. You have to get rid of Manfred.
Kick rocks, Rob.
Whenever his contract is up, see ya. We have to start thinking about the players first and the league second, and we can't side with billionaire owners who are only in it to increase the money in their pockets. So I guess I'll use this as a declaration to say I'm with the players, and if there's no baseball this year, like I said, it'll pain me, but I see it as a necessary evil for the players to get the respect that they deserve.
I'm more on the side of there's no sports going to be happening until August type mindset right now. I'm just looking forward to football. Please.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult either way, and that's one of those things that I kind of go ahead.
Any sport that comes out, no fans. So you're not going to be able to go to a sporting event until next May.
Yeah, but at least you can watch it.
Well, 100%.
And I was listening to part of my take last night actually, and they were theorizing about there's no fans at the stadium, but could teams pump in like crowd noise? You know what I mean? Like,
dude,
let's say you're watching like Sunday afternoon and somebody scores a touchdown and it's silent. Could the home team like pump in crowd noise and be like,
is there still going to be an announcer saying like coming in at shortstop, number 2?
I would think that's, well, maybe not.
It's just going to be, all right, you're up to bat.
Could you imagine basketball, though, where you're courtside and you hear the announcer? Are you here like the play-by-play guy and he's like, let's just say he's talking trash.
Dude, when the March Madness got canceled, the videos that came out where it's like, dude, this is going to be us watching March Madness, just the shoes squeaking on the floor. That's all you hear because there's no fan.
Yeah. It'll be interesting, man. It'll be interesting. Maybe this is a good time to break for just a second and remind you that we are sponsored by the See Us movement. Missed Call is sponsored by the See Us movement, and if you go to their store, search around, find something that you like. We want you to buy something that you like. When you find that thing, go ahead and enter promo code Missed Call for 10% off your order. Missed Call and the CS movement, we see. I see. Do you see? We see.
I can see. I see you. Hey, that was Chef's Kiss transition into the ad. Chef's Kiss. I did not know where you were going, and then you said we are sponsored. And I'm like, oh yeah, we are.
Hey, did you get an opportunity to check in on the latest Barstool beef?
Yes, Daddy, I did.
Don't fucking ever say that ever again. I just broke my streak. I just broke my streak because you did. I'm uncomfortable.
Sorry, Daddy.
So for those who don't know, I guess we'll do a brief. I guess we'll do a brief kind of overlay of what's happening with Barstool. There is a very popular podcast called Call Her Daddy. If you're unfamiliar, it's basically two girls talking about how much they have sex as if it's a personality trait. And Cub liked that one.
Dude, their show is. We have talked about this on the podcast. The Call Her Daddy girls are girls you take home after you meet them at the bar.
Yeah.
The chicks in the office girls are girls you bring home to your mother.
Yeah,
That's
Rhea and Francesca are the ones that are you definitely. Those are the ones you take home to meet Ma.
Raining.
But okay, so apparently, I guess there's trouble in paradise because they haven't recorded for like 4, 5, maybe 6 weeks, and last night
April.
there was since April. Okay, so last night, Presidente. Dave Portnoy got on and recorded a half-hour podcast, uploaded it under the Call Her Daddy feed, and it's a half hour pretty much displaying everything that's happened and why the girls aren't recording their podcast. So let's start off by saying Alex and Sophia, the two hosts, make $500,000 a year.
So I almost passed out when he threw out $500,000. I'm like,
They both make $500,000. They
Sauce?
both make $500,000 to record one weekly podcast.
I was like, me and Sauce could potentially be making $500,000.
What? Yeah. So I guess the girls thought that they were worth more. So I think they went to a lawyer and they were talking about suing Barstool for the intellectual property of Call Her Daddy and things like that, getting ownership rights to merch, ownership rights to alcohol and stuff like that. They were trying to blackball Dave Portnoy and Barstool Sports, while at the same time they were shopping their brand around as if they owned the label of Call Her Daddy, which they didn't. They sold that to Portnoy when they signed their 3-year contract. So they're under like a 3-year contract. They're a year into it. They have 18 months left, I think, is what Portnoy was saying, and they're trying to shop their podcast around as if they own their intellectual property, which they do not.
But why? Like, why leave? He was like saying, we gave them money. Like, if you're getting more ratings and more sponsorships, we'll gladly give you more money. He was about to give them $1 million, and he was getting nothing. Why wouldn't you take that?
Yeah. So
because Yoko Ono from the HBO. Screw that guy. He looks like.
So yeah, and they were so. The Call Her Daddy girls and Portnoy and his legal team were all going through this song and dance. I think so. But the two parties are going through this song and dance. And eventually cooler heads prevail. And Portnoy's like, hey, listen, I'll give you back all of the Call Her Daddy stuff. You can take the merch. You can take the intellectual property, all that stuff. But we get 90% of the alcohol sales, because I guess there's like a call Her Daddy alcohol or something like that, right? And so he's like, we get 90% of the alcohol sales, you guys can get 10. So he's giving them millions of dollars. They do millions of dollars in Call Her Daddy merch every week, every month, every day. Maybe not every day, but they make all this money off of it. He's offering them all this money, and Alex is like, the blonde is like, this is a really good idea. Like, this is a really good deal. And the brunette, Sophia, says no chance in hell because she's dating this Quagmire-looking dude that Cub just put up on the screen, Peter Nelson, who's an executive at HBO. And he's had a lawyer. He's had a lawyer peddling around and shopping the Call Her Daddy brand as if they own it. And if he can't get the deal done, then Peter Nelson looks like an asshat. So the whole brand of this podcast is owning men, like own men. And then it's getting derailed because of a dude.
Get it, daddy. Get it.
And I'm sure I'm missing some minute details throughout, but like, that's pretty much it. The Call Her Daddy girls are eating themselves alive, and they're letting go of millions of dollars because of Quagmire.
I'll take their spot,
dude. I'll do. So I guess at the end, Portnoy's like, Alex wants to make the deal and make it work for 18 months and maybe do it by herself for 18 months. Dude, I'll talk about sex and having a little dick for 18 months if that means I can make $500K.
I got stories.
I've got not many, but like I can talk. I mean, $500K. $500K. I'll make shit up.
Talk about me. You didn't talk about me. So, dude, layups. You know what I mean? Layups this man had, and he didn't even take them because of me and my Monacos. Layups. And then we didn't even get tacos.
I'll be whatever you want me to be.
You can call her.
Man. That's kind of the tea for this week. Do we have anything else?
I don't have anything.
All right. I mean, I think we've been talking for what, like an hour?
41 minutes.
Oh man.
I heard you got stuff to shoot from the hip from.
What are you doing?
Shooting from the hip.
I have stuff to shoot from the hip. I just shot from the hip for 40 minutes.
I thought it was like lifestyle stuff that we usually. I thought it was about our lives.
I mean, I've got a 93 overall team on the show. What you want me to talk about? I'm not sure what you want me to talk about. Oh, you know what? I've got a story for you. I've got a quick story, and then I think maybe we'll end this. That will end our listeners' suffering. So today I went to the gym. Yes, the gym. I can't tell you where it's at, what it is, anything like that. But I went to the gym today, and there was a kid there. And the kid finished his lift. I mean, this kid was like 13, 14 years old. Finished his lift and came down and was like saying goodbye to everybody. I've never met this kid in my life. But he walks up to me and was like, "See you later, man." I was like, "See ya." And he held his elbow out like this to like dap up with me with his elbow because Rona. And I was like, he put his elbow up and I was like, "All right, man." I gave him knucks in his elbow. I was like, "All right, man."
Hey, mask on.
Listen, dude, I just lived in it. I was like, I don't. He gave me elbow, and I gave him knucks on the elbow. And I had to live with that mistake. I'm still living with that mistake to this moment.
That's like doing like that. That might be worse than going like that.
Yeah, because at least it's hand to hand. He stuck out. He stuck out his elbow.
Gave you a wing.
Like, all right, yeah, he gave me a weenus.
He gave you a wing.
Yeah, he gave me a wing, and I was still like, all right, I'm a fuck with you. Oh man. All right, this is where we end it, yeah?
Yeah, let's get Tinder bios. Come on, you know they're here for it.
All right, we'll go against what I said. Fuck it.
I missed them, and you know what? We'll just do one. We'll do one apiece.
We'll give a little flavor.
Go ahead.
Oh, hold on. I'm still deciding which of the two I should use. You know what? I'll go with Patricia because her picture just screams "read me." Patricia's 24 and she is dressed scantily clad in a red bikini. And this is her profile. I can fit an entire apple in my mouth. What more do you need to know? Hard eyes. Oh, and my favorite letter is D.
D for what?
Corona shit, but anal is on the what? It's 2020. Corona shit, but anal is on the menu with a snail emoji. I gotta social distance myself from this girl. I'm out.
Call me.
You want that snail emoji?
Oh.
Are you French? Is she French? Is it Patricia?
Oh, all right. This is PJ. He's 35. He's a straight man. Looking for BBWs, goth, emo, freckles, glasses, teachers, or short hair and older women! Exclamation point. So older women. If you have one or more than one of these, that's a plus. Looking to clear my sex bucket list and need these types of women, goth the front, top of the list. Goth is your number one priority?
He wants a big goth girlfriend, bro.
I can't make out what his profile picture is. So what do you think that is? His belly? What is that?
That is definitely his belly. That's a belly button in the middle.
I can't. It doesn't look like that though. All I gotta say is, I'm gonna pick up PJ and we're gonna ride around and look for goth girls in Lincoln Park.
I'm sure there is a bounty of goth girls in Lincoln Park.
No, we'll go to Wicker Park. I'm sorry, we'll go to Wicker Park.
Yeah. Wicker Park seems like a better area for it. Yeah.
They're wicked.
All right. Well, that is episode 99 of the Missed Call Podcast. This is the last episode we will ever do in double digits. On Friday, we will be officially in triple digits with the head coach
slash GM
of the Chicago Sky,
James Wade.
So make sure that you guys tune in on Friday, and we're working on something special for you guys. Somewhere where maybe you can use, I don't know, a stimulus check. So we'll have more exciting news for you guys as that comes out. Yeah, Cub. You could use your stimulus check in what we're making. Be sure to tune into Game 3 tomorrow night on Woj's Twitch stream. Wojik, WOJIC 33 on Twitch. Tune in. And,
wait, I think you spelled that wrong.
No, I didn't.
Hold on, let's see. It felt wrong.
I bet you it's right.
WOJCIK 33.
Oh, I was wrong. All right. WOJCIK 33 on Twitch. Tune in and watch the boys. Cub, we got to get out of here. People are tired of us.